Caitlin Clark out for the remainder of the 2025 season, something we all think we knew was coming after what Stephanie White said earlier today. We couldn't be too sure until we see it for ourselves. And with this announcement from the GOAT's mouth herself, Caitlin Clark won't be returning this.
Caitlin Clark just slammed the brakes on the entire 2025 WNBA season, and the ripple effect is shaking the entire sports world. One statement from her, one carefully chosen set of words, and suddenly fans don't know whether to cry, riot, or start spinning conspiracy theories about the league hiding the truth. This isn't just another headline you scroll past. It's the kind that grabs your brain and refuses to let go.
King's worst nightmare just came true because it was just announced that Caitlin Clark will be out for the rest of the season. She's only played 13 games this season, and her most recent injury, which happened back in July, was a groin injury. The craziest part about all of this has been the reporting around her injury. The team has never given her a timetable for return, and literally up until today, the team had been reporting that she was still trying to get back on the court this season. The Fever only have 3 regular season games left in the season before playoffs. Some fans were even speculating that they've just been stringing fans along the whole time because they know that ratings and attendance.
Caitlin Clark is officially out for the rest of the 2025 season, and that gut punch doesn't just hit Indiana Fever fans, it echoes across the entire league. The announcement came straight from Clark herself and the Fever's social media, confirming what many feared but refused to believe. She spent months trying to rehab, working in the gym every single day with the dream of making it back before the playoffs.
Players to injury, but obviously none bigger than Clark. And there was such a wait for this second season after her magnificent rookie season. And then, the anticipation of her possibly coming back, only for that not to happen, takes a lot of air out of the room, obviously takes a lot of energy out of the fans, and is a devastating blow for not just the Fever and the WNBA, but the good news is her career is not over. But it's a tough blow when it all comes crashing down like that. And, ever since
But the clock ran out, and her body simply wouldn't cooperate. In her statement, she admitted disappointment wasn't a strong enough word, thanked the fans who never stopped showing up, and praised her team for battling through adversity. The words were graceful, but behind them was the undeniable sting of unfinished business. The woman who made every arena sell out, who turned casual sports fans into WNBA believers overnight, is now sidelined indefinitely. And like every superstar's sudden collapse, the whispers have already started. Is this the end? Could one injury erase all the hype?
Is out for the rest of the WNBA season. She had posted this whole statement on Instagram, as well as the Fever officially announcing it just now here on this Thursday evening. And there have been some talks about from the Fever staff about her potentially trying to come back, and they had kind of been trying to drag this out as much as possible over the course of this season, but there simply seems to just not be enough time in this season for them to fully feel comfortable in getting her healthy. And the message that has been sent has always been the most important thing is her long-term health. That is what
the highlight reels, the records, and turn Caitlin Clark into the most tragic what-if the league has ever seen. Because sports doesn't care how many jerseys you sold, or how many little girls plastered your posters on their bedroom walls. Sports only cares about one thing. Can you keep showing up? Last season, Caitlin Clark was the golden child, the unstoppable rookie who looked like she could carry the league into a new era. Now, she's sitting courtside in street clothes, watching her story turn into a cautionary tale. One moment, she was torching defenses, dropping points like a cheat code, smiling her way through interviews as if she'd solved the game itself. The next, she's making press conference statements that sound less like motivation and more like damage control. The vibe isn't "I'll be back stronger." It's "please don't forget me while I disappear into rehab purgatory."
The next morning after it was announced that Caitlin Clark would not be returning this season, something that I think most of us pretty much knew for maybe at least the last couple of weeks. I heavily suspected it for the last, if I'm being real, last month. Although I kept kind of holding out hope because, well, I wanted a reason to keep watching these games. And that's why the Indiana Fever has gotten dogged at as a...
Fans feel betrayed, not by Clark, but by the team. The Fever strung people along for weeks, saying she might be evaluated, might return, dangling hope in front of fans still buying tickets and jerseys. But what was there to evaluate? She was running up and down the court alone, shooting jumpers without contact. That's not a test, that's a charade. So now the internet is having a field day. Trolls who couldn't spell her name a year ago are suddenly acting like orthopedic surgeons, swearing she'll never dribble again. They're calling her the Greg Oden of women's basketball, branding her a one-season wonder before she's even cashed her second paycheck. It's savage, but that's the internet. If you're not performing, you're still entertainment, just in a crueler way. And here's the reality. Some athletes bounce back like rubber bands, others crumble like stale cookies. Nobody knows yet which side Clark will land on. But the fact we're even asking if her career peaked in year one shows how quickly her fairy tale turned into a nightmare. Think about it. She had one spectacular season.
A hot take from earlier this year, all of a sudden, not so hot. Caitlin Clark announced that she's going to be out for the rest of the season. Obviously, a nice little post here thanking her teammates, saying she fought back, was in the gym trying to come back. She wanted to, but Caitlin Clark not returning for the rest of the season. Makes sense considering where the Fever are at in the playoffs right now. Right now, they are making the playoffs. They're the 8th seed, so it would be the final seed there. But are they going to make much noise? Chloe Bibby just went out for the rest of
the kind of season that looked like the launch pad to superstardom. She made ESPN highlights nightly, boosted WNBA ratings, and became the face of a movement. Now, she's a storyline about fragility, about wasted potential, about how fast hype can vanish. The media, of course, is feasting on this. Already, think pieces are flooding in. Is Clark overrated? Was she a product of marketing more than talent? Is this proof women's basketball can't carry a superstar the way the NBA can? It's exhausting, but it's also the cycle every phenom faces. Build them up until they're untouchable, then tear them down when they show a crack. Caitlin Clark is now living through that cycle at warp speed. And the cruelest part? She doesn't have the resume yet to fall back on. She doesn't have a decade of dominance, a pile of championships, or MVP awards to cushion the blow.
Appointment to a lot of people, she will not play for the rest of the season. Now, what does this mean for her? Rest. Big time rest. Get healthy. That's the number one thing. When you miss a full season, it's tough to come back and not be rusty. So I think a lot of the offseason is going to be spent rehabbing her legs, getting stronger, and just working towards getting back to 2026 so that she can be healthy and take on the full.
She has 1 year, one incredible, unforgettable year. That's it. If she never returns to form, her entire career will be remembered as a highlight montage on YouTube titled Best of Caitlin Clark Before the Injury. Nobody wants to be a playlist instead of a legacy. That's where the real pressure begins to build. Because this isn't just physical rehab, it's mental survival. Imagine being told you're the face of the league, the savior of the sport, the chosen one. Then imagine your own body betraying you before you even got started. Now every day in the gym isn't just about healing. It's about silencing those voices in your head. Will I ever be the same? Do people even care anymore? Was my peak already behind me? Those are the demons she's fighting, while the world watches from the outside. And let's be clear, the WNBA is watching too with nervous eyes. Because Caitlin Clark wasn't just a player, she was their golden ticket.
But still incredibly disappointing. Caitlin Clark officially done for the 2025 WNBA season, as she and the Fever announced on social media. The Fever and Clark saying that she tried to get back on the floor. It appears that she just ran out of time, not able to get enough confidence back in her body as the season wraps up and the playoffs are likely about to begin for Indiana. I mean, it's a gut punch that basically encompasses an entire season.
The league built commercials, sponsorships, broadcasts, and marketing campaigns around her. When she was on the court, viewership spiked. When she wasn't, interest dipped. Now the league's biggest star has turned into its biggest question mark, and that's a dangerous position for any sport trying to grow. The Fever are hurting too. They've already lost multiple players to injury, but none more devastating than Clark. Fans were waiting all season for her return, clinging to the hope that she'd step back onto the court for a playoff push. Instead, they're left with a press release and an empty promise. For every hopeful update, there was always a new setback. and now the curtain has officially closed on her sophomore season before it ever really began. That's not just a blow to Indiana, it's a blow to the entire WNBA.
Conversation and a agreement that would have happened between the Fever organization and I assume Kathy Engelbert and the WNBA. We don't want to mess these ratings up now. We don't want to mess those ratings up now, do we? Let's make it look like she's going to come back. So I knew there was going to be a lot of reaction today and last night, overnight. And Amber Cox, the CEO and general manager for the Fever, has released a statement on Twitter X. And it has gotten quite the response from Caitlin Clark.
The internet is already spinning this into something bigger than basketball. Fans are comparing Caitlin Clark's sudden downfall to Derrick Rose, Brandon Roy, Penny Hardaway, legends whose bodies betrayed them before their stories were finished. That's the category she's being shoved into, and it's brutal because she hasn't even had the chance to prove what her full ceiling looks like. But that's the danger of superstardom in the age of social media. The moment you're anointed the future, people stop giving you time to grow. They expect perfection now, dominance now, championships now. Anything less becomes a disappointment. And when an injury steps in and blocks the whole path, the narrative shifts instantly. She's no longer Caitlin Clark the superstar, she's Caitlin Clark the cautionary tale. But here's the twist that nobody's really considering yet. Sometimes being counted out is exactly what creates legends. Look at Tiger Woods. Look at Serena Williams. Look at Kobe Bryant when people thought he was finished. Adversity is the forge where true icons are made, and Caitlin Clark might be walking into her greatest test. If she comes back from this.
I had hoped to share a better update, but I will not be returning to play this season. I spent hours in the gym every day with the singular goal of getting back out there. Disappointed isn't a big enough word to describe how I am feeling. I want to thank everyone who had my back through all the uncertainty. This has been incredibly frustrating, but even in the bad, there is good. The way the fans continue to show up for me, and for the Fever, brought me so much joy and important perspective. I am so proud of how this team has only gotten stronger through adversity this year. Now it's time to close out the season and claim our spot in.
If she rebuilds herself brick by brick, the redemption arc could be even bigger than her breakout. Because nothing hits harder than a comeback story. Fans love to cry, cheer, and chant for someone who refuses to die. But that's the gamble. There's no guarantee she'll return at all, let alone return as the same version of herself that had defenses panicking. The WNBA can't wait forever. The Fever can't wait forever. And fans, well, fans are fickle. They'll move on to the next big thing if Clark doesn't reappear soon. Already people are whispering about Paige Buchers, Juju Watkins, and Angel Reese stepping into the spotlight. The league is full of young stars ready to grab the torch, and the cruel reality is that sports doesn't pause just because you're hurt. The train keeps moving, and if you're not on it, someone else will gladly take your seat. That's why this feels less like a season-ending injury and more like a career-defining crossroads. She can either let the narrative write itself, what could have been, or she can claw her way back and rewrite it herself. And trust me, Clark knows that. She's a competitor to her core, and competitors don't just sit quietly while people bury their legacy alive. Right now, she's silent in public, but you can bet that behind closed doors, she's plotting the loudest possible comeback. Because when your name is the one filling every headline, when your absence becomes the biggest storyline of the year, you don't return with whispers, you return with fireworks. The Fever will have to adjust too. They can't keep dangling false hope to fans who bought season tickets expecting Clark to lead them. They need to own this moment, build a system that doesn't rely on her, and prove they can stand on their own 2 feet. Otherwise, they risk becoming the Cleveland Cavaliers without LeBron, irrelevant the second their star disappears. The WNBA's marketing machine will have to shift as well. This is where they prove if they truly believe in the league as a whole, or if they were just riding the Caitlin Clark wave. Because if every commercial, every highlight package, and every broadcast falls flat without her, then the league wasn't growing. It was just leaning on one player's popularity. That's dangerous, and it's why this injury has bigger consequences than just one season. But beyond the league, beyond the Fever, beyond the haters and trolls, this moment is really about one thing: legacy. Caitlin Clark has the chance to either fade into memory or rise into myth. And myths aren't built on easy paths. They're built on scars, setbacks, and the kind of pain that makes ordinary people quit. She's already proven she's not ordinary. Now she has to prove she's extraordinary.